Welcome back to Headlines. I'm Wes Austin, and these are today's top stories. First, Joy Behar's latest anti-Trump rant triggered a warning from the White House that The View could be the next show canceled. And then today, Behar announced The View was going on a mysterious hiatus. Now hold your horses. This could be Joy's confused way of announcing they're breaking for lunch. Then Tulsi Gabbard says that Obama's CIA Director John Brennan suppressed intel that Russia had dirt on Hillary Clinton back in 2016. But Russia didn't release the Hillary information. So either Russia didn't want Trump to win, or they're just really, really bad at election interference. Next, Democrat Representative Jasmine Crockett openly admits her party will use dark money in upcoming elections. They're going to use dark money to save democracy. That's like saying you're going to torch a village to stop climate change. And finally, actor Alan Cummings, he is the host of Traitors, said while he was guest hosting on Jimmy Kimmel's show that trans people are superheroes. His monologue was even less funny than when Jimmy Kimmel does it, and I did not think that was possible. We've got the clip. And then we'll go to the comment section. We had some comments on the segment we did on Mike Johnson saying he might subpoena Barack Obama. Somebody asked, will Obama just take the fifth? And then we had another question on whether Obama would have presidential immunity from any prosecution. So we will look at those. Okay, let's dive in. After Joy Behar's latest anti-Trump rant, the White House warned The View that they might have the same fate as Stephen Colbert. Here is Behar on The View responding to President Trump's call for former President Barack Obama to be criminally investigated for his involvement in the Trump-Russia collusion narrative.
Who tried to overthrow the government on January 6th?
Wait, let me think. Who
was that again? That was not Obama. Okay, number one. You know, the thing about him is that he's so jealous of Obama because Obama is everything that he is not.
Yeah.
Trim. Smart. Handsome.
Happily
married. And
Did Behar just say that the Obamas are happily married? Barack looks about as thrilled around Michelle as Joe Biden does around stairs. Despite their severe case of Trump derangement syndrome, I'm sure that The View is completely immune from terrible ratings and a loss of advertising revenue. Nothing could ever happen to their show.
And before we go on hiatus, we only have one more show after this. I'm allowed to say that, right?
Too late now.
So it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Before we go,
Now, before we start the victory parade, remember, bad daytime TV is harder to kill than a Marvel franchise. Tulsi Gabbard said that in 2016, Russia had compromising material on the then Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton and planned to release it after the election, assuming she would win. It turns out, Russia was just as shocked by Trump's win as CNN was. She said that the report also shows that then CIA Director John Brennan intentionally suppressed that intelligence. Here is Gabbard describing some of the information Putin had on Hillary.
There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers.
Hillary was flipping out one minute and cheerful the next. So, like the Joker in a pantsuit. Now remember, Putin really wanted Trump to win, but apparently not badly enough to release emails that made Hillary sound like she needed an exorcist and a pharmacy. Democrats are going to use dark money to try and win elections. Don't believe me? Here's Jasmine Crockett.
We also know that there are donors that I'm sure are going to be willing to make sure that they are investing and making sure that they can take down some of these candidates. Since they don't want to rule out dark money, I'm sure some dark money gonna pour in on the behalf of the American people. So what I am saying is every tactic, as well as making sure we're touching people.
The GOP's secret weapon isn't voter turnout or campaign ads. It's simply letting Democrats talk. Jasmine just proved that you can't fix stupid, but you can definitely record it. Alan Cummings, an actor and host of the TV show Traitors, guest hosted Jimmy Kimmel's show and used his opening monologue to declare that trans people are superheroes.
These superhero movies are only pretend, but I happen to believe that there are actual superheroes in real life who walk among us. And these superheroes are called trans people.
You know, I remember when girls used to dream about being superheroes. Now they're just hoping that Wonder Woman isn't actually a dude named Chad. And now to the comment section. Look, before we get to the video segment on whether Mike Johnson will subpoena Obama, we did have a few funny comments that I noticed on the video that we did about Stephen Colbert dropping the F-bomb responding to Trump. So I just wanted to pull up some of these comments that I thought were kind of funny. And I have been reading your comments to say when I look down, it looks like my eyes are closed or I'm reading off of my eyelids. I'm sorry, I am awake and my eyes are open when I look down, but I know it's the angles. But anyway, so here were some funny comments on the Stephen Colbert segment where he responded to Trump using the F word. So this is from Film Wolf 1. Such a stellar wit. I wonder what restroom stall he retrieved that gem from. That was good. Then here's one from Jeffrey Killingsworth. How many gas station bathroom walls did Colbert's team of writers have to research per episode? A classic, loved it. And then from Michael DeMarco. Was Colbert trying to set some kind of record? His show lost $40 million a year. What does he think he is? The Postal Service? Anyway, thanks. Those are great. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll move on to more serious comments. This is on the segment we did about Mike Johnson, whether he's going to subpoena Barack Obama. And here was the first comment. All he will do is do to my lawyer's advice, I plead the Fifth Amendment. So somebody commenting that won't Barack just take the Fifth Amendment. So will he do that? Will he not do that? So I did a little bit of research, and very rarely will you be able to get a president in based on a subpoena like that. So, and here's a couple of quotes. This is actually from the New York Post article that I pulled from. Let's just read these. Presidential testimony before Congress is rarely sought, and requests are often challenged due to separation of powers concerns. The two most recent former presidents to appear before Congress were Harry Truman in 1955 and Gerald Ford in 1983. Last year, President Joe Biden turned down an invitation to appear before the House GOP impeachment inquiry against him. The since-defunct House January 6th Select Committee subpoenaed former President Donald Trump, now President Trump, for testimony in late 2022, but he spurned that demand and didn't face legal consequences for doing so. So I think it's highly unlikely that they'll even get former President Barack Obama into Congress to testify. And even if they were to try, I mean, he would claim executive privilege or immunity, which is actually the next comment that we're going to look at. So we might as well just lead into that. So before we even will get to whether he'll plead the Fifth or not, some people are asking, what about presidential immunity? So this is a comment from Rob Spranger, 9740. You know, I need to be careful reading names because I know sometimes people will put names that if you read them out loud, it's something that you don't want to say out loud. So so here's his comment. You can't be prosecuted for an official act, yet there has to be accountability if you are bending the law into a pretzel. So he is talking about presidential immunity, and we did just have a Supreme Court decision about presidential immunity, I think it was just a year ago, with respect to President Trump. So we do have some new law on this, and the question would be, will Obama just get presidential immunity? And I pulled this up from the Post. Even though I don't like the Washington Post, they did kind of lay out what the test would be, what we would be looking at. And this article is what is an official act and how will a judge interpret Trump's immunity? So this was from a year ago and they were always focusing on Trump. But the same questions would be asked about Barack Obama. So let's look at what what the test would be. The Supreme Court has ruled that Donald Trump and other presidents are absolutely immune from prosecution when carrying out their core constitutional powers, but can face trial for private conduct or for official acts under very narrow circumstances. Okay, so I know this is using Trump's name, but put in Barack Obama's name instead of Trump's on this. The Supreme Court sent Trump's federal January 6th case back to a trial judge to decide 3 questions. So here are the 3 questions. Which alleged acts by Trump, charged by Special Counsel Jack Smith, fall under the executive branch's exclusive constitutional authority and are therefore immune from prosecution? So that would be one category to look at for Obama. Then, which ones are official acts but prosecutable because they pose no danger of intruding on the power or function of the presidency? And then here's the third one, and what acts can be prosecuted because they involve private conduct, such as actions taken by president as a candidate, not as an office holder. So what Obama would argue if they were to try to pursue him, the first thing he would be arguing is that whatever he was doing fell under this executive branch's exclusive constitutional authority. Okay, so absolute immunity. He'd argue that. Then the next thing he would also be arguing is he would say, well, even if they weren't, those things were official acts, and because they were official acts, you can't go after me because of those. You know, it had to do with national security. I was meeting with my security advisors. We were talking about foreign powers. These are clearly my official acts as President of the United States. So I also have immunity for those as well. And what we would be trying to argue would be that, no, these were not official acts because you crossed over when you started trying to personally go after President Trump because he was one of your political enemies. Then you went outside of those official duties or official acts. And so these are more, we would have to argue, private conduct. Now, I think that's going to be tough. I'm going to be honest, I think it's going to be really tough because he was meeting with his national security people. They were all scum. But he's going to have some strong arguments that he should have immunity. And I think it will definitely be a really tough uphill battle to try to prove that that was not an official act or private conduct. I think it was terrible. I want them to be able to get anybody who is a bad actor in trying to, they created that whole Trump-Russia collusion hoax. But this presidential immunity is a pretty powerful doctrine that especially as bolstered by the Supreme Court last year, it's going to be tough to try to overcome that to get anything on Obama. So it's going to be tough, but we shall see, and I will certainly keep you updated. Thanks for watching Headlines, and thank you to everyone who's been sharing my show clips and links. I really do appreciate it. I'm Wes Austin. Good night.